Are you looking to buy a Volkswagen ID4? Well, if you are, you may want to watch this video till the very end, because in this video, I'm going to go through the good, the bad, the ugly, and the awesome with the ID4. The ID4 is a turning point in my opinion because it is the first real electric SUV to hit the market. Remember, every other EV that has come before this has either been a sports car, a performance car, or a luxury car. And those EVs that have, well, been priced quite fairly have been much smaller than this. You know, something like an e-Golf, a Volkswagen Leaf, a Kia e-Niro, or a Kia e-Soul, a Hyundai Kona Electric are all much smaller than this. I mean, this is quite a big car, you know, in many regards, especially for, well, European streets. 4.58 meters long, 1.88 meters wide, 1.63 meters tall, with a 16 centimeter ground clearance, a trunk space of 543 liters. I mean, there aren't many EVs that can boast a trunk of 543 liters or bigger. So this car is built to a price point. It has just enough performance, well, to make it adequate. It's not meant to be luxurious. It's not meant to be sporty. It's not meant to be fast. It's meant to go far and fit 5 people in comfort with their luggage. And in my opinion, that is the first time that that has been done at a fair price point like this. And then you have the interior, and you have that same built to a price point theme in the interior. So first off, the interior is very spacious and roomy. I mean, this is one of the biggest interiors of any car I have sat in, or at least it feels that way, because the dashboard is pulled away, the windscreen is pulled away, the cabin is wide and airy. It is a nice place to be in that sense. The design is very minimalistic, much like a Tesla Model 3, that not a lot of things are going on, and that's also a way to, you know, build to a price point. You don't do much with the interior design, so it's easy to build, it's easy to design, but you have some extremely cheap materials, you know, on the center console, on the dashboard here, and on the doors, on the bottom of the doors. And you also have this glossy black plastic that I can't stand in this car because it gets dirty and dusty like after an hour. And you know, this section is flat, so it just collects all the dust. But you do have some nice materials in here. You have soft touch plastics on the doors and on the dashboard. You have this nice metal trim. You have the screens, which are very nice, but I'm going to talk about that in a separate section of this video. It's also very practical. You have door bins here, which are a nice size. You have cup holders down here. You have a wireless charging pad. You have even more storage up front, and then you have the seats, which are actually very nice, covered in this microfiber cloth. And then you have, you know, faux leather on the side bolsters, and here in the door, giving it a little bit more contrast and color. And I must say, I do like this simple theme in here, and I don't mind the materials because you do get some, you know, soft touch plastics where, in my opinion, it matters. Remember, this isn't a luxury car, and this, you know, just goes to show that they've actually tried to build this to a price point, and that is something I can appreciate. It does have, you know, sort of a utilitarian feel to it, like you had in the Volkswagen Beetle, which is a car I actually have a lot of experience with. One of the cars I drove as my first cars when I was 18 actually, and this feels, you know, almost like a modern Beetle, but you do have some nice materials and nice stuff. Like the steering wheel is typical Volkswagen, feels solid, feels nice in the hands. And you also have the stalks, which is something you interact with all the time, feels of high quality. And then you also have the gear selector up here. But overall, even though it feels quite cheap here and there, I am a fan of this interior. Okay guys, so when it comes to pricing, the ID4 is extremely interesting, and I mean extremely interesting and it basically sets a new bar, a new standard for what you get at a price point in an EV. So the 52 kilowatt hour version, the base with 343 kilometers of WLTP range, starts in Norway at less than 350,000 kroners. That is insane. But that version isn't available in all markets, so it won't be, as interesting to most of you people out there. But what is even more interesting is the 77 kilowatt hour version. It's called the Pro. It may be called different things in different markets, but it is the base 77 kilowatt hour version with more than 500 kilometers or 315 miles of WLTP range. That version in Norway starts at 417,000 kroners. But this car here, the first Max, which has, basically all the boxes ticked off, cost a little bit more than 500,000 kroners. That is insane and immense value for the money. In the US, the base, the first I think it's called, starts at less than $40,000 for this car with more than 315 kilometers WLTP range. That is insane. In the UK, that car is 40,000 pounds, and in Germany and elsewhere in Europe, that is 45,000 euros. I mean, that is insane. This much EV, this much range for that price point. And depending on where you buy it, that is about the same price as the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. The ID4 isn't very sporty to drive or dynamic. I mean, this is more of a family vehicle than something that is fun to drive. Though there's nothing wrong with the handling, it handles just fine. It's just not very engaging. Though the steering is actually quite nice. It has very nice feel and nice weight to it. So I actually prefer the steering in this to something like a Ford Mach-E. But where this car really excels is in the comfort department. So this car in particular has the adaptive dampers. So you have 4 drive modes: Eco, Sport, Comfort, and Individual. And in comfort mode, it still has that solid Germanic feel, but the suspension is soft enough that it is actually very comfortable. Over that speed bump there, it's actually very nice to drive. And also the quietness in the cabin, the NVH levels are kept at a minimum. I don't think it is as quiet as something like a Ford Mach-E, but still it is very, very close and very nice to drive. So this car's strong suit, it's where it really hits home is in being a comfortable and quiet family car. This being the 77 kilowatt hour version, it has a peak speed of 125 kilowatts. The smaller pack, the 52 kilowatt hour version, has a peak speed of 100 kilowatts, which is quite nice speeds to be honest. But what is more impressive is that they seem to hit their peak speed immediately with little resistance. I mean, you can take this out on an hour on the motorway, connect it to a charger, and almost every time get that peak speed, even though the outside temperatures might be cold or coldish. And that is very impressive. I haven't experienced that in any other EV, that it just hits its peak speed with no preheating, with little resistance, and when it is cold outside. That is what impresses me the most. So in my test, I have shown that 10 to 80% stated charge can be achieved in a little less than 37 minutes in this car with this battery pack, with an average charging speed of about 95 kilowatts, which is quite impressive. One of the average highest charging speeds, 10 to 80%, I've tested in any EV till date. But there are rumors flying around the internet that there is gonna come an update, updating the speed in this to 170 kilowatts, and that will be amazing. And that means the 10 to 80% stated charge charging time might come down to 30 minutes. Tech in the ID4 is actually quite good. So first off, you have this 5-inch screen in front of the driver. You also have a 12-inch screen here in the center console. You have a big and beautiful head-up display, which is a bit hard to catch on camera. And then you have a big portion of the front windscreen, which is augmented reality. I'm going to overlay some video here so you guys can see that. But it actually shows you animations of where the lanes are, cars in front of you, and also arrows for navigation. It is very cool and something that I hope more car manufacturers will implement and include in their cars in the future. So back to the screens, and also this car has lane keep assist, auto steer, and adaptive cruise control, which works very good. I mean, one of the best auto steers out there on the market. I find it very easy to trust and to use. So the screens, as you can see, are beautiful. I mean, when was the last time you saw this level of blacks? I mean, it's such a nice screen with beautiful contrast and colors and brightness. The same goes for the center screen also. These are one of the nicest screens I have seen in a long time. And I like the fact that this is very simple, that you're only shown, you know, the basics, your speed limit, you know, range, battery status, and you can get some navigation, you know, arrows and stuff like that in the screen there. But it's just basic. I do like it a lot. The same cannot be said for the central screen. So first off, it is very beautiful, and I do like the size, 12 inches. It's big enough, but not so big that it is in your face, and it is, you know, pulled a little backwards into the dashboard here. So I mean, it's a perfect size. But the layout isn't very simple. This is your home screen, and then you can swipe to the sides, and you can see how laggy it is, and then we'll try to swipe back, and then we'll try to swipe back. Yeah, it's totally useless. So to get it to swipe back, you have to hit this portion here, which is black, but it's not easy to see because the black levels are so good that this is actually the bezel. But once you do that, it is very laggy. Now it's actually not bad, but this is actually the best it's been for a long time. But if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that it is super laggy. It is basically not finished, the software. And I'm going to show you guys the software version. This is 0792, and actually this is the best it has been in a long time. And now I try to swipe. No, I want to scroll. I don't want to. Come on, how hard is it? I mean, I've been using a touchscreen since 2008, since the iPhone 1. This isn't very hard. And then you have the layout. So you're at your home menu. You want to see your battery status. Okay, 1, 2, and then 3. You have to press so many times to do simple commands or tasks. I find it very annoying. So you have your home screen here. No, home button here, which is fine enough, but if it would be much better if they did it like Audi, where you would actually have shortcut buttons on the side there instead of your home screen. So if this was an Audi, you would have, you know, maps, you would have media, you would have settings, so on and so forth, but they haven't done that here. So instead you have one layout for this, you have a different layout here, and then you have a different layout here, and then you have a different layout, not there, but yeah, here. And then to go into driving assistance, you have to press here. So I mean, it seems like there have been like 10 different teams working on the UI here, and then they just mashed everything together. I am not a fan. But what I'm even less fan of is the touch capacitive buttons here, because this can be fixed with software. And at this point, this is almost a deal breaker. I would call this broken and not finished and completely garbage. I'm sorry guys if you're offended, but the UI here, the functionality here is garbage. I'm usually a very calm person, but I haven't been cussing as much in the last week as I have at this infotainment system, because now it's actually working quite nice. But you have touch capacitive buttons here that are just laggy. How are you able to make it this laggy in 2021? And then you have also touch capacity buttons for audio. What happened to just a normal volume knob? But even worse than that, this is not lit at night, so you can't see anything. So if you want to change your temperature, instead of just hitting here, you have to press there and then you have to press again. If you want to change your temperature, volume, well, you can try to hit there, or you can use the, sorry guys, or you can use the buttons here on the steering wheel. But this has also been prone to issues and bugs where it's been, just flashing and blinking and not working at all. If you've seen any of my previous videos, well, you can see it there. And also the adaptive cruise control has been, just going dead. The auto steer is just not working after a few hours on the road. So, I mean, as it is now, this is unfinished, and it's embarrassing that Volkswagen have actually released something this unfinished. I had some issues in the ID3, but this is even worse. And this is a brand new car, guys. The ID4 is an amazing family vehicle. It really is a very good car. It's big, it's spacious, it's roomy, it has a big trunk, it's practical. It has great range and an amazing price point. I really do like this car, but, and there is a major but, and that is the infotainment system, the lack of hard buttons, and just the issues I've been having with this car the past week, with the adaptive cruise and the auto steer just dying on me just after a few hours on the road. And even though if I stop, I reset the car, it just happens again. So for me, at this point in time, those issues are actually a deal breaker. I would actually wait to get this car before these things were fixed. So, I mean, it is a pity. And also another thing to consider is the Mustang Mach-E, which in my review of that car, I basically said that that car was the best EV money could buy if you weren't looking for a luxury vehicle. And I think, in my opinion, if you don't need the added ground clearance, if you don't need, the big trunk, if you don't need the added, towing capacity of this car or the possibility of a roof box, I think the Mustang Mach-E is a better car, a better buy. It drives better, it rides better, it has a nicer interior, though the infotainment system there also was a bit buggy. It was nothing close to this, and that was a pre-production vehicle. Yes, it doesn't have the same ground clearance, and it doesn't have the same trunk size, and it is a bit more expensive. The standard range of the Mustang Mach-E costs a little bit more than this and doesn't have the same range, but well, if we put them side to side, that may be different, but as this is now, this is still better value. But my money, because I think as it is now, because of the faults of this car, I like the Mustang Mach-E better. It fits me better. So guys, let me know down below what you think, which you would choose. Would you choose the Mustang Mach-E or the ID4? So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.